What if I told you that you could make tens of thousands of dollars a month using other people's content? And I mean legally, ethically, and without ever showing your face. Look, this isn't some old school side hustle from 2010. This is a massive, kind of under the radar opportunity that's happening right now in the creator economy. And the secret has nothing to do with being an influencer.
Okay, let's just start with a number that sets the whole scene. 2.1 billion. That's how many people are on Facebook, every single day. But here's the thing you gotta understand. A huge chunk of them are just scrolling. They're bored and they're waiting for something good to pop up.
And this is where the huge imbalance comes in. The audience is bigger than ever, right? But there's a major shortage of high-quality creators on the platform. All the top talent, they've moved on. And that's left this huge void that's now filled with what our source calls AI slop and just fake news. But the audience, they're still right there, waiting for something better.
So you've got this massive content vacuum. And that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer. What if you could ethically and legally step right into that void, leverage content that's already proven to work, and turn this whole imbalance into a serious income? So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the content gold rush to really get the scale of this thing. Then we'll dive into the synthesizer strategy. That's the legal key to the whole operation. We'll get super practical with the value add playbook. Then we'll look at how to scale it all with the faceless AI evolution. And we'll finish up with the most important part of all, the audience ownership endgame.
All right, first up, the content gold rush. Let's really dig into the why behind this entire business model. Why now?
I mean, this chart says it all, doesn't it? On platforms like Facebook, the number of daily active users is just through the roof. But the number of quality creators, it's tiny in comparison. And when demand for good content is this much higher than the supply, the platform has no choice but to open up the wallets and pay creators to fill that gap. And they pay them well.
You've seen this on your own feed, I'm sure, because so many of the really talented people have left, this vacuum has opened up, and it's just getting filled with all this AI slop and super low-effort junk. But for the new type of creator we're talking about, that's not a problem. It's a wide open door.
So how do you actually walk through that door? Well, that brings us to the absolute core of this whole model, the synthesizer strategy. This is all about how you can leverage existing content and do it both legally and ethically.
So what in the world is a synthesizer? It's definitely not a content thief. No. It's someone who finds a piece of content that's already a proven winner. It's gone viral. And then they add their own unique layer of insight or analysis or commentary. You're not just resharing it. You are literally transforming it into something brand new. And the legal principle that makes this whole thing possible is called fair use. The key here, the really important part, is that you have to be transforming the original work. You do that by adding significant commentary or criticism or new information. You're not just playing a clip, you're using it as a springboard for your own original take.
So let's make this distinction super clear. Reposting is just downloading someone else's video and uploading it again. That's stealing, and it adds zero value. Synthesizing, on the other hand, is all about adding your unique perspective, maybe a business breakdown or a critical analysis. That adds high value, and that's what's protected.
Okay, so now we get the why and the what. Let's get into the how with the value add playbook. Think of this as a repeatable, almost factory-like process for churning out really high-quality synthesized content. The workflow is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Step 1, you find a proven winner, a video on Instagram or a tweet that's already got millions of views. Step 2, you add your unique insight. And don't just react to it, analyze it, find a flaw, offer a better way to do something. Step 3, you use AI to help with production, to analyze the video or help you write the script. And step 4, this is so important, publish natively. You have to manually upload to each platform if you want to please the algorithm.
Here is a perfect example from the source material. He found this viral video about a junk removal business, and instead of just saying, "Wow, that's cool," his unique insight was this. First of all, this is misleading. That's not profit, that's revenue. See? That single piece of analysis immediately adds value and completely transforms the content. Then he goes on to break down how you could start that same business for way less money. That is synthesizing.
And if you want to make your synthesized content go viral, here are a few key tactics. You've got to cut out every single millisecond of dead air. Hook them in the first 3 seconds. Give them a reason to stick around to the very end. That's what we call a retention hack. And you got to take a hard stance. Nuance just doesn't go viral.
Finally, it's always a good idea to attribute the original creator when you can.
Now, once you've really mastered the short-form stuff, you can scale way up. Let's look at the Faceless AI evolution, where you can actually automate and expand your whole content factory using AI-hosted podcasts.
Just let that number sink in for a second. $31,000 a month from a completely faceless podcast that's hosted by AI avatars. This is the next level of scaling the whole synthesizer model.
And the formula is, honestly, surprisingly simple. You've got two AI-generated hosts with these really natural-sounding voices. They just discuss simple, everyday topics. The audience is often non-native speakers who are learning English, so they appreciate the slow, clear conversation. And the visuals, it's just a static image, maybe an animated sound wave, and big, easy-to-read captions. That's it.
I mean, the economics here are just a total game changer. A traditional podcast could cost you $1,000 an episode for professional voice actors. An AI-hosted one? As little as $15. That cost difference makes it incredibly easy to produce a high volume of content. Okay, this brings us to the most important part of the entire strategy. This is the audience ownership endgame. Because look, views and followers are great, but they're not assets that you actually own.
This quote from our source says everything. Building your business on a social platform is like building your house on rented land. The landlord, the algorithm, can change the rules or just kick you out overnight. An email list is the only audience you will ever truly own.
So here's how you build the funnel. You use Facebook's massive reach and its monetization to generate a flood of traffic. Then, in the top comment of every single post, you drop a link to your newsletter. You are systematically turning temporary viewers into permanent email subscribers. You're creating an asset that you control and can monetize forever.
And all of that leaves us with this one big provocative question. As AI gets better and better at just generating raw content, does the real human value start to shift? Is the most important skill for the creator of the future not starting from a blank page, but being an expert curator and synthesizer? It's something to think about.